That day, I witnessed a murder in a supermarket parking lot, only to discover my girlfriend's disappearance was part of an elaborate drug trafficking scheme that had targeted me for months. Thursday evening at 7 o'clock, I dragged my tired body out of the accounting firm. In Boston's October, it was already dark, with streetlights swaying in the cool autumn breeze. I sighed, thinking about the empty apartment and the nearly empty refrigerator waiting for me at home. Since breaking up with Jessica 3 months ago, my life had been like a programmed machine, repeating the same trajectory day after day. "Hey, Mike, any plans for tonight?" My colleague Brian called out to me in the parking lot. "Nothing special," I shrugged. "Might watch some Netflix and go to bed early." Brian shook his head. "Man, you need to get out there. It's been 3 months." "I'm fine," I forced a smile. "Just tired. See you tomorrow." Driving home, I suddenly remembered that I didn't even have milk in the fridge, so I decided to stop at the Whole Foods near my home to buy some essentials. This decision would completely change the course of my life. The supermarket wasn't crowded, typical for a weeknight. I pushed my cart, mechanically selecting bread, milk, eggs, and some frozen foods. Just as I was standing in the alcohol section debating whether to buy a bottle of red wine, a young man in a gray hoodie was having an argument with the supermarket security, standing a few aisles away. Instinctively, I wanted to avoid them, but suddenly the young man ran in my direction. "Help me," he said in a low, tense voice, quickly slipping a small note into my pocket. "They've got the wrong person." Before I could react, 2 security guards arrived and grabbed the young man. "Sir, sorry to disturb your shopping," one of the security guards said to me. "This person was caught trying to steal surveillance footage. We found him lurking in the employee area. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," I replied, feeling the note in my pocket like a burning coal. The security guards took the young man away, and the supermarket returned to normal. I continued shopping, but I was distracted, my mind full of the strange encounter. Why did that person choose me? What did he slip into my pocket? At checkout, my hand unconsciously moved to my pocket, confirming the note was still there. The cashier was a young girl who looked no more than 20, mechanically scanning my items, her eyes barely leaving her phone. "That's $47.83, I said. I handed over my credit card, absentmindedly signed, then pushed the cart out of the supermarket. It wasn't until I sat in my car that I dared to take out the note. It had a hastily written line, "Tonight at 10, parking lot behind the supermarket. Bring this note. If you don't come, they will find you." My first reaction was to throw the note away and forget about it. This was clearly some kind of scam or dangerous invitation. But the last sentence on the note made me uneasy. "They will find you." Who were they? Why would they find me? I crumpled the note and threw it into the garbage bag in my car, starting the engine to leave. But as I drove out of the parking lot, the young man's face suddenly appeared in my mind. The fear and desperation in his eyes were so real. What if he really was in trouble, and I was the only one he could turn to for help? I shook my head, trying to dismiss the thought. This wasn't my problem. I was just an ordinary accountant, not some hero. But that sentence, "they will find you," stuck in my mind like a thorn. Back home, I tried to watch television, but couldn't concentrate. The young man's face and his desperate expression when he slipped me the note kept flashing in my mind. I looked at the clock, 9:30. "Damn," I muttered to myself. "I must be crazy." I decided to go see what was going on, but would keep a safe distance. I took out my phone, made sure it was fully charged, and told myself that if there was anything suspicious, I would call the police immediately and leave. 9:50, I returned to the parking lot behind the supermarket. It was much darker than the main parking lot in front, with only a few dim lights illuminating the empty area. I parked in a hidden corner, from where I could see most of the parking lot, but others couldn't easily spot me. 9:55, a black SUV slowly entered the parking lot, stopping in the farthest corner. The lights went out, but no one got out. 9:58, another car entered the parking lot, a police car. It stopped next to the SUV, and a person in uniform got out and walked towards the SUV. My heart raced. Was this some kind of police operation? Had I unwittingly become involved in some law enforcement action? I took out my phone, ready to call 911 at any moment. From my position, I could only see 2 figures talking, but couldn't hear what they were saying. Suddenly, the SUV door opened and a figure moved quickly. Then came a loud bonga gunshot. The person in uniform fell to the ground, and the SUV quickly started, heading towards the parking lot exit. Panic swept over me. Had I just witnessed a murder? I immediately dialed 911 while starting my car, ready to leave this dangerous place. As I drove towards the exit, the SUV roared past me, disappearing into the night. 911, what's your emergency? I just witnessed a shooting, I stammered. In the parking lot behind Whole Foods? Someone's been shot. Looks like a police officer. Sir, please stay calm. Are you safe now? Yes, I'm leaving the scene. Please give me your name and contact information. The police will be there shortly. I provided my information, then hung up, driving towards home. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel, my brain still trying to process everything that had just happened. The next morning, as I was getting ready for work, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find 2 police officers standing there. Mr. Michael Thompson? One of the officers asked. Yes, I answered, feeling a sense of unease. I'm Detective Dietrich, and this is my partner, Detective Morris. We'd like to talk to you about what happened at the Whole Foods parking lot last night. I nodded and invited them in. We checked the surveillance footage from the parking lot. Detective Dietrich said, "Your car was the first to leave the scene after the incident. Can you tell us why you were there?" I hesitated for a moment, then decided to tell them the whole truth. I described my encounter with the young man in the supermarket, the note he slipped me, and why I ultimately decided to go see what was happening. "Do you still have the note?" Detective Morris asked. "No, I threw it away," I said, then remembered. "Wait, it should still be in the garbage bag in my car." We walked to the car, and I retrieved the crumpled note from the garbage bag. Detective Morris carefully picked it up with a handkerchief and placed it in an evidence bag. The person who was shot is Martin Kraus. Detective Dietrich said, "He's the head of security at the supermarket." Is he dead?" I asked. "No, he was shot, but is still alive. He's currently receiving treatment at the hospital." "Thank God," I sighed in relief. "Mr. Thompson, can you describe exactly what you saw in the parking lot?" I described in as much detail as possible everything I had seen: the black SUV, the person in uniform, the shooting, and how the SUV quickly left. "Did you get a clear look at the shooter or the SUV's license plate?" "No, it was too dark, and I was too far away." Detective Dietrich nodded, noting down my statement. "We may need you to come to the station for further questioning and perhaps to help identify suspects." "Of course, I'll cooperate," I said, "but I really don't understand why that young man chose me. I'm just an ordinary accountant." The 2 detectives exchanged a glance. "Mr. Thompson," Detective Dietrich said slowly, "Kraus isn't just a security manager. He's an undercover detective investigating a drug network." This information shocked me. "So, the young man and the shooter? We believe they are connected to this network. Kraus may have been close to a breakthrough, so they wanted to eliminate him." I felt a chill. What about me? Why am I involved in this? "That's exactly what we want to find out." Detective Morris said, "Are you sure you've never seen that young man before?" "I'm sure," I said. "At least I don't remember seeing him." "All right." Detective Dietrich stood up. "If you remember any other details, please contact us immediately. In the meantime, I suggest you stay vigilant. If you notice anything suspicious, call the police right away." They left their cars and then departed. I stood at the door, feeling an ominous premonition. Why did that young man choose me? Was I just a stranger who happened to be there, or was there a deeper reason? 3 days later, I received a call from Detective Dietrich, asking me to come to the police station. When I arrived, he led me into a conference room where Kraus was waiting, his shoulder bandaged, but looking in better shape than I expected. "Thank you for coming," Kraus said, his voice stronger than I had imagined. "I owe you an explanation." "You don't owe me anything," I said. "I just did what anyone would do." Kraus shook his head. "No, you did much more than that. Your call and description helped us confirm the identity of the suspects. But more importantly, I need to tell you why you were dragged into this." He paused, as if organizing his thoughts. "The young man who was caught in the supermarket didn't choose you randomly. He recognized you." "Recognized me?" I asked, confused. "I've never seen him before." "Not in the way you think," Kraus said. "He recognized your face. Your photo was on their target list." I felt a chill. "What target list? I'm just an ordinary accountant." Kraus took a deep breath. "Your ex-girlfriend, Jessica. She didn't just break up with you. She was placed in protective custody." My world spun again. "What?" "Jessica is our informant. She discovered that her boss, who is also your boss's, the money laundering expert for this drug network. Your accounting firm doesn't just handle legitimate business. It's the financial center of the entire network." I couldn't believe my ears. That's impossible. I've worked there for 5 years. I've never noticed anything suspicious. Because you were carefully isolated. You only handle legitimate client accounts. But your signature, your license number, have been used on many documents you've never seen. My brain was processing this information at lightning speed. So Jessica, she discovered the truth and came to us. We arranged for her to fake a breakup, then placed her in a protection program. But apparently, they suspected you might know something. I don't know anything, I almost shouted. I believe you, Krause said calmly, but they wouldn't take that risk. The young man's original task was to confirm your identity and then deal with you. I felt sick, so he slipped me the note. To lure you to a secluded location. But we discovered their plan, so I was there waiting. Unfortunately, they were more cautious than we anticipated. They sent backup. I sat there, trying to digest it all. My entire life was a lie. My job, my relationship, even my safety were all built on things I knew nothing about. What now? I finally asked. We need your help, Krause said. You're the only one who can identify those tampered documents. You know what the normal process should look like. You're asking me to help you investigate my own company, my boss? Yes. It's the only way to ensure your safety. As long as they think you might know something, you'll never be safe. I took a deep breath, considering my options. I could refuse, try to escape all this, but I would live in fear forever. Or I could help the police, use my expertise to expose this network. But that meant betraying the company I had worked for 5 years. Where is Jessica? I asked. In a safe place. If you agree to help, you can see her. That was the final push I needed. No matter how much of my work and life was a lie, my feelings for Jessica were real. I needed to know she was okay. I'll help, I said. But I have one condition. What condition? When this is all over, I want a fresh start. New identity. New city. Away from all this. Krause nodded. We can arrange that. For the next few weeks, I lived a double life. During the day, I was still that ordinary accountant, going to work on time, handling daily tasks. At night, I worked with the police in a safe house, combing through the company's financial records, looking for evidence of money laundering. The police provided me with a list of clients I had never seen before, all processed, using my license number and signature. When I saw these documents, a cold anger swept over me. My career, my reputation, had been used to provide cover for criminal activities. These transfers, I pointed to a statement, completely defied normal business logic. This so-called construction company has large amounts of money flowing in every month, but no actual project expenditures. Detective Dietrich nodded. We suspect this is one of their main channels for legitimizing drug income. We pieced together evidence bit by bit, building a picture of the entire money laundering network. My boss, Richard Hawkins, was the central figure in the operation, and my signature was the key to making it all look legitimate. One day in the third week, I was in the office, organizing files, preparing to take more evidence, when I suddenly noticed the boss's assistant, Kate, staring at me. Mike, she came over, her voice unusually friendly. Richard wants to see you after work to discuss a new client. My heart raced, but I tried to stay calm. Okay, what time? 6 o'clock, in his private office. I immediately sent an encrypted text to Dietrich. He replied saying he would arrange surveillance and warned me not to meet with Hawkins alone. At 5:50 in the afternoon, I knocked on Hawkins' office door. Come in, Mike. His voice came from inside. I walked in to find not just Hawkins in the room, but 2 men I had never seen before. One of them, I recognized it, was the SUV driver who had fired the shot in the parking lot. Mike? Hawkins smiled, but his eyes were cold. I think you might need to explain your recent behavior. What behavior? I tried to play dumb. Cut the act, the SUV driver said roughly. We know you're working with the police. My blood froze. How did they know? Was someone tracking me? Or did they have someone inside the police department? I don't know what you're talking about, I insisted, while secretly pressing the emergency button in my pocket given to me by Dietrich. Hawkins sighed. It's a shame, Mike. I've always appreciated your work, but it seems Jessica's betrayal has affected you. When he mentioned Jessica's name, I felt a surge of anger. What did you do to her? Nothing, Hawkins said calmly. She was smarter than you, knew when to keep her mouth shut. The SUV driver approached me, his hand reaching inside his jacket. Just then, the office door was suddenly kicked open, and Dietrich and a team of police officers burst in. Police, Nobody move. The next few seconds were chaos. The SUV driver tried to draw his gun but was quickly subdued by an officer. The other man rushed towards the window but was intercepted. Hawkins remained calm, raising his hands. "Richard Hawkins," Dietrich said, "you're under arrest for suspected money laundering, involvement in a drug trafficking organization, and conspiracy to commit murder." As they handcuffed Hawkins, my boss looked at me, his eyes full of hatred. "You'll regret this, Mike. You'll never be safe." That night, the police conducted a massive search of the accounting firm, seizing numerous documents and electronic evidence. At the same time, across the city, multiple locations connected to Hawkins were also raided, including several drug warehouses and processing points. "You did well," Kraus told me at the safe house. "But Hawkins is right about one thing: you're not safe now. Their network is more extensive than we thought, and some people may have escaped. So what now? Now we fulfill our promise. New identity, new city, new beginning." 2 days later, I finally saw Jessica. She was thinner than I remembered, with a wariness in her eyes I had never seen before. But when she saw me, the expression on her face was genuine. "I'm sorry," she said, tears in her eyes. "I couldn't tell you the truth. I had to protect you." "I understand," I said, though there was still a hint of bitterness inside. "What matters is that we're both safe now." We were placed in separate safe houses until the trial was over. Hawkins and his main accomplices were sentenced to long prison terms. But as Kraus had warned, some people had escaped. 6 months later, on a cold winter morning, Jessica and I boarded a plane to Seattle. We had new names, new background stories, even new professional skills. I was now an IT consultant, and Jessica had become a graphic designer. "Do you think we'll adapt?" Jessica asked as the plane took off. "We will." I held her hand. "This is a new beginning." Life in Seattle wasn't easy at first. Adapting to new identities, new jobs, new everything took time. Sometimes I would wake up in the night, dreaming of Hawkins' threats or the SUV driver's gun. Jessica had her nightmares too. But as time passed, these fears began to fade. A year later, the news reported that a major drug and money laundering network had been completely dismantled. The last few fugitives were captured in Mexico. We could finally truly put the past behind us. Now we have a small home in the suburbs of Seattle. Jessica's design career is thriving, and I found a stable job at a tech company. We're rebuilding our relationship, this time based on complete honesty and trust. Sometimes I think back to that ordinary Thursday night, how I just wanted to buy some groceries and ended up accidentally exposing a criminal network. I think of the young man who slipped me the note in the supermarket later, learning he was killed the night he was arrested, his courage possibly saving my life. Life is sometimes full of surprises and dangers. You never know how an ordinary trip to the supermarket might change the entire trajectory of your life. But no matter how winding the road, what's important is that we eventually found our way, found the truth, found each other, and found the courage for a new life. As I stand on our balcony, watching the beautiful and peaceful sunset before me, with Jessica's arms around my waist, I know all the fear and danger were worth it. Because sometimes only after experiencing the darkest night can we truly appreciate the beauty of dawn. This is where my story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for your time. Good luck.